Hello, everyone. Welcome to the LECHE We Are podcast. My name is Eddie Pabon. I am so excited today. We are launching season 4 with an amazing individual who is filled with light and love. This man is so dope, and I'm really excited to do this interview with him. Let's get him on. Mr. Coach Doc, aka Antonio Harrison. Just waiting for him to come on, and we'll get started. So for those of you who are just joining, who have never heard of the LECHE We Are podcast, LECHE is an acronym for love, energy, community, healing, and empowerment. We are a mindfulness collective, and this podcast is meant to be everything love, everything community, everything empowerment, everything good energy, everything healing. Okay, so let me get Mr. Coach Doc on here. One. So I hope you are feeling blessed, not stressed. We have some good stuff to talk about in today's podcast. As soon as Antonio joins me, we are going to rock it out. Antonio is a VR coach. He's a doctor, from what I understand. We'll talk more about that with him when he comes on. And I know about Mr. Antonio Harrison through working out on this VR headset for Oculus. It is called Oculus, and it's a Quest that I have. But it is so dope because you get to immerse yourself into other realities and have a dope workout, and there's a dope community behind it. There's so much love energy in there. The community is automatically there, and then the healing comes from doing the work, right? So Mr. Coach Doc just requests to join. And wait, let me see. Just waiting for Antonio to join us. And there he goes, my man. What's up?
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm blessed, man. Especially that I'm able to talk with you on this live. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's recovering a little bit from birthday yesterday, so I'm pulling myself together.
I figured. I'm like, you know what? He's probably gonna be all washed up and shit, but I'm gonna put him on a podcast anyway. Fuck it. Happy birthday, my brother! If you're watching, Mr. Harrison's birthday was yesterday. Antonio's a beautiful soul, so I hope that he got so much love yesterday. Surrounded by
I did.
so much. Come on, Instagram. Come on, internet. There you go. All right.
There you go.
So, Coach Doc, as I know you, right? You are one of the dopest coaches. All three of you guys are dope, but you're my favorite. I'm sorry, Leanne. I'm sorry, Renier. I fuck with Antonio. I love Antonio. I feel the realness coming through the audio, coming through the visual, coming through, you know what I'm saying? You have so much light and love. And you and I have something in common in terms of, well, hold on, because Instagram is really giving us a lot right now. Let's see if we can get Antonio back on. All right. You are here. I don't know what's up with your internet, brother.
I think I'm back now.
Are you on a Wi-Fi signal? What's going on over there? Is that, I hope it's not me. Is it me? Is it the So we have mindfulness is being able to still yourself in tough, troubling times, right? So, Coach Doc, what's up, man? I hope your internet is better. I hope we can rock this interview out with minimal interruptions. How are you feeling today? I know you washed up from your birthday. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I felt a lot of love yesterday. I started my morning off right with some meditation and just being grateful. So, and then, had barbecue that was awesome and family and friends over. So it was just a blessed day, man. I can't complain. And I woke up a little groggy this morning, but I had some work to do and had to go meet some clients around 7:30 a.m. So I've been up, moving and shaking, man.
Same here, brother. That's always like I'm on the road right now. I'm coming. And I made it on time. Yes, always where you're supposed to be, right?
Right.
So one of the things that Antonio and I have in common, like I was saying a minute ago before the internet hated on the whole situation, was that we both teach people meditation, right? And I have to say, I've grown a love for you, brother, just on a soul level because you're doing the work to help people in ways that they don't even understand, right?
Very true,
So,
man. It's been an interesting thing because like I never expected to share meditations, or I had done it once before. It was supernatural, and like it's just been weird that that's something that has come about in my life that I never expected.
same here, right? I don't think anybody ever grows up saying, I'm going to be a meditation coach. Like, in fact, I don't know about you. What's your background? I know. Are you Latino? I know you're a person of color. So where you from?
Funny story. So my dad's black. He's from Louisiana. My mom is white and what we thought was Hispanic. So I grew up black, Mexican, and white all my life until about 4 years ago. And then I found out Nana was, she had a little bit of fun. So Romulo Salazar wasn't actually grandpa. It was grandpa was actually an Italian immigrant who came over to New York. So I'm black and Italian. So Antonio
Wow.
still works. Yeah, so it
You
still
know what's
works.
funny,
But
bro? I didn't mention this in my book, but that's something else we have in common. So I look like I'm partially Italian. To my knowledge, I'm fully Puerto Rican, but my grandmother had a little bit of fun too. So we not sure who the baby father is. It's a whole Maury situation. But I'm gonna run with I know who my dad is, and that's that. I don't know about grandpa and grandma situation, but you know what? They was doing the best they could, right?
right.
And thanks to them, we're here. So, however it worked out, shout out to Grandma Harrison, uh, or whatever her last name is. But bro, I'm so happy to speak to you right now. I've been doing this podcast for a while. Used to be Random Talks Podcast, and I just rebranded it LECHE. We are to focus more on mindfulness, right? People who empower other people, who are about community, etc. And when you said yes to this podcast, I was like, wow, this is like, I'm fucking hype about this. This is dope.
Nice.
So I love that you're a real person, man. I want to thank you, like, on a personal level before we get into more about you, and just say that, there are times that you've made me cry and you didn't even know. I think I told you one time I was working out and I was feeling empowered already. I had just finished meditating, and then you came on and you do what you do on Supernatural, which you could talk about in a minute. And then you started just talking to me, right? And so that's how I felt anyway. I'm sure everybody who plays this shit feels that way, but it hit, it resonated. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, this fucking dude is like, oh, he's hitting me, right? So I'm like, all right, so the tears are coming down as I'm working out. And it's an interesting thing because they're good tears. They're tears of joy, right? And purity. And so I finished it and I was so emotionally moved that I hit you up. I went to go hit you up on Instagram and say, bro, like, you fucking made me cry. And then I see a video of you talking about how you struggle with who you were versus who you are, right, at times. And, the cursing thing, stuff. So this is something that I identify with. Present Eddie struggles with the hood rat he used to be, right? I used to be a hood booger, and now I'm trying to balance that shit out with a lot of mindfulness and maybe dance the world of, keep it clean, but also, so I don't want to rub people wrong, right? But I also want to be
Right.
me and genuine, and that comes with a couple fucks and shits, right?
Very true,
So,
bro. Nah, I was just saying it's a tiptoe that I feel like sometimes I don't want to walk, but also I know it's necessary because just there's certain parts of me that aren't the same from back then. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. So, how did you get into meditation?
Uh, Honestly, it was always something that was interesting and cool to me, but I tried a bunch of different stuff. I mean, if I was to be real about it, it really came down to religion. And I'm not religious, but I sought out like going to church myself when I was 13, right? And just by myself. And it was a horrible fucked up experience. I had somebody try to fight me on the church lawn. Like it was just like I was just like people are people. And then like I got kicked out of youth Bible study because I asked too many questions. And then when I was in college, I took a world religions class and like just tried to learn about stuff. And then I kept searching and searching. And I think it was after I had my knee injury and my mind was all over the place and I didn't really know who I was because my identity had been so wrapped up in athletics that I was just like, I need to just sit down and be quiet for a second. Right. And so, you know, I checked out Zen meditation. I went and looked at Nichiren Buddhism. I looked at all this different stuff, and then it came to, and I did guided meditations, but it came to the point where like I just needed to sit down and be still. Like that's all it was. And so I sat down and I was still, and some amazing things started happening when I started listening to my higher self. And then in terms of sharing that with other folks, I just happened to be working at this boutique treadmill fitness studio, and I was like, hey, I want to try something. You guys are looking for new ways to kind of get clients to come in. Like, could I do a guided meditation? It was just on a whim. And so I created a 30-minute guided meditation, and people loved it. People were crying. People, you know, looked at me in a whole different way, and it was really weird for me at first. And as I was with Supernatural, Leanne was part of that fitness studio as well, and they were looking for something different, I think, with the workouts. And she was like, you know, Antonio does guided meditations, and I was like, yeah, I'm down to try that. And that made me really nervous, man.
Yeah,
Like,
no, right? I can't fuck this up. Fuck. Like, I gotta do this right.
yeah. So, you know, I did it with Supernatural, and it became this, at first it was just with slow burns, and then they were these offshoots because people asked for them, not attached to the workouts. And then it became its own thing. And then I was like, wow, whether it's my voice or the words that I'm saying or the fact that I put time and care and effort into it, like people are appreciating this and valuing this. And that just, it warms my heart, man. Like I said.
You know what? It's not only it's a beautiful thing to have synchronicity happen where the universe sort of puts you aligned with what's for you, right? But you and I share. Every time I hear you speak, bro, I'm like, damn, me too. Like I went through it, you know, and I think there's such a contrast from where I come from, right? I'm speaking for me here, that it's almost like you get that imposter syndrome from time to time, right? Where it's like, damn, I can't fuck this up. And you got that little negative voice, that limited thinking belief system that always pops back up on you. That's like, you're not about this life. Like, they're gonna see right through you, right? And it's just like, no, you are channeling light and love. You have a gift, right? You have honed in on that. And it is through adversity that we find ourselves, right? So you said something that was significant to me, because I found meditation, I'd already heard of meditation and sort of like danced with it, but I really started practicing deeply when I had a car accident. And that changed my life. So like, you know, like you, I was trying to find, it was so much noise in life, and I was just trying to find a way to like quiet it down and just still myself and be happy, right, in the moment. And then meditation came along, and I studied the Buddhism thing. I checked out Vipassana and Zen Buddhism and you know, Indian stuff and American stuff and all these different practices. And I come from a heavy religious background as well. So for me, it just all culminated into LECHE, right?
Yeah.
And so I want to give you a chance to talk a little bit about supernatural for a second before we keep going on, because I could talk about mindfulness with you all day. Like, it's dope to find somebody who like gets it, right, and is doing the work too. But supernatural. So, folks, if you have never tried virtual reality, you have to fucking try this. I swear to God, you are not living your life. Right, like this is one of the dopest new techs that are out, and I think we're also caught up in the old school version of VR that like nobody really wants to give VR a chance now, right? But it's so advanced now, and the tech is so dope. But Coach Doc, as I know him, is one of the 3 coaches that's on this app. And it is such a dope workout situation where you're like, you feel like you're not working out, but it's kicking your ass and you're working out. But I think all that dopamine is flowing, all that stuff is going through, and chemicals are coming through, you're feeling good, and you have the sense. It's sort of like a trick system where like your brain is believing you're playing a video game, right? Or at least for me, it's that way. But you're actually fucking working out. So I have to thank you and the coaches in Supernatural for taking my COVID weight away. I got super fucking fat, okay? And I was not feeling myself. And I was like, you know what? I don't have to go to a gym. Let me put this on. I tried it out, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is a game changer. Like, this is the money for me. And so I'm on day 168, right?
168?
168. That's like nonstop. I've never done that in my life, bro. So I thank you for that. I thank you for bringing quality and value into my living room, into my life, without even knowing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, nah.
So how do you get into Supernatural? How does one become a dope-ass fucking VR coach?
It's crazy, man. I never would have put together the sentence that I'm a VR fitness coach. Like, that wouldn't have existed in my mind. But in all honesty, I got to give big props to Leanne. When I was working with her at the boutique treadmill fitness studio, they got bought up by a corporation who like would franchise places, you know, just kind of copy and paste all over the nation. And when they did that, they went into this mode of trying to be a lot like Peloton, where they rented out a studio or bought a studio, and they were doing the treadmill workouts on camera. And I went and auditioned, and they accepted me, and I did a bunch of those. And I think Leanne saw that as well as the work that I had been doing just inside the studio. And was like, he's comfortable in front of a camera. He's got this thing about him. I think you guys might be interested in this cat, because she was already working with him. And so, you know, next thing I knew, out of the blue, I get a text from her saying like, hey, would you be interested in an opportunity in virtual reality? And I was like, fuck yeah. Like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means, but like, yeah, I'm all about it. And so I went up and I interviewed and talked to them. And in all honesty, man, I think Leanne sold me before there was because it didn't feel like an interview. It felt like they were trying to say like, you should come on board. You should be about this. Because it didn't feel like I was being asked questions of like, is this the guy we want? And, you know, I was like, yeah, I'm all about this. And then I tried Supernatural for the first time in their office building with the headset. And I was like, this is dope. Yeah. Like I only did like 1 or 2 tracks and I was already sweating, and I was like, this is for real. And it's fun. And I get to be a part of this. Fuck yeah. Sign me up. And from there it just went, you know what I mean?
That's dope, man. That's beautiful. You know, what you're saying is so important, because I want everybody who's listening to know that you cannot predict what's for you. You can think that you are on this mission and you're going and you're going to go to work and you're going to get your degrees, right? You're a doctor, from what I understand, yes?
Yeah. I got a PhD.
And so you probably thought you was going to school, you was going to be a doctor, and you know what I'm saying? And you are, right? But you're a love doctor. You're a whole different, you a VR doctor now. You a whole different fucking category of this shit. You wasn't, but you aligned yourself with it, right?
Yes.
And so it's a beautiful thing. Folks, if you are listening to this and you're questioning what your future looks like, you don't know. Nobody knows. But what you can do is grab hold of the present moment, do the work and show up for yourself, and watch these fucking miracles unfold. I say this shit in all my videos and all my things. When you do the work, miracles start to unfold in your life, right? And the work is up on you. It's about you improving yourself, right? Taking a look in the mirror and loving that person, but also acknowledging that you're not perfect and there's some work to do. So You got a
I
wife,
always,
you got kids. You're a beautiful family, by the way. Your wife is fly, and I'm gay, so don't worry about it. We good. But your wife is bad. I'm like, yes, go for it.
well, well, and I just to what you were mentioning, I like to tell people like when people reach out and ask me about stuff, especially in the field that I got my PhD about how they can excel, and I'm like, bring value and be bigger than the place you're in, right? Like, bring that amount of value that all of a sudden things will start happening. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't just worry about right now. Focus on you're making an impact, whether you believe it or not, whether you notice it or not. There's someone who's hearing you. There's someone who's listening. They may not tell you. They might be a silent fan. They might be someone that doesn't want to express what they're going through, but you're making an impact. Just keep bringing value and things keep happening. The moment I let go, I used to struggle with like, what am I supposed to do? What's my career thing? What's my
Yeah,
niche? Like what
a lot of people go
is
through
it?
that.
Yeah. And I stopped trying to find that thing and just started working on me and finding myself. And those things then started to find me. And here I am today on a fucking podcast with you talking about some shit that like I would have never thought I would have been doing.
Talk about how you the fucking man. You're a badass VR coach. You changing lives right here. You wasn't even ready. But it's cool. Like this is dope. When you start trying to control life, because as humans, that's just a natural instinct. We try to control things, right? We try to feel like we're in control because it's a comfort zone. But when you stop trying to control things, is when things start to flow. And it's a little bit of a conundrum, like a mind fuck, but it's true. So for those who are listening, right, we live in a fear-based society. So I would like to ask you, what sort of fears did Antonio have to overcome to get to this point?
Ooh, that's a heavy one. The fear. So I've always been really observant, right? And part of that was a survival skill when I was younger. Like I had to know where the exit was. I had to know who was sketch. I had to know who had my back because I was just put in some fucked up situations. But what that did for me, even though it made me successful in a lot of things, it also created this fear where like I think about, and I still struggle with this today because I'm not perfect, man. Like, I'm still on my journey.
Yeah.
I still struggle with today my assumed perception that people have of me. Even if I'm just walking down the street and I'm smart enough to know 99.9% of the time, ain't nobody thinking about me, right? Like they got their own shit going on. You know what I'm saying? Like
they might
they really do.
You, and they still not thinking about you.
They still not thinking about you. But I'm like, oh, what's this person thinking? Or if my music is blasting in the car and I pull up next to someone who's got their window down, like, what's their perception, right? These are just little things that run through my mind. And so getting over the fear of worrying about what the fuck others have to say about me, whether they say it or not, that was a big one. Another one was, I only grew up with my black side of the family. That was it. Yeah. I didn't have any contact with the other side. So I grew up in a completely black culture, completely black environment, until I ended up getting a scholarship to go to a private school. And all of a sudden, I was the only black kid there, right? So there was this thing of like, am I black enough? But at the same time, am I too black? Right? And I know that's a weird thing to say because we come in all shapes, sizes, emotions. But from the stereotypes that we've been trained and conditioned to as a young kid, I look in the mirror, I'm not as dark as my dad. I'm not as dark as the rest of my family.
But you identify as a black male, right?
Right. And at the same time, I would go to school and everybody would look at me as if I was as dark as my dad. And it was this weird fucking thing. And in all honesty, man, something just recently happened that kind of, I don't know, shifted that for me, which was my youngest son. If you looked at him, you would think like maybe Hispanic, maybe like I'm not really sure.
That's what I got from you. That's why I was like, "What are you, bro?"
Yeah, and so I would see kids working as an educator all the time, especially elementary school. I would see young kids, especially young white kids, that would get really attached to their teachers, like, "Oh, I love you," and hug their teachers. And like, I was never like that. My two older kids were never like that. And I always kind of thought it was a little weird. Like, what's going on in the house that like you're loving like a teacher like that in
Yeah.
such an emotional way. But then this year, my youngest has a black, dark-skinned male teacher, and he loves the fuck out of his teacher.
Aw.
And to the point to where like he learned how to contact him on Zoom. Like he found an email address, and his teacher told him he was going to San Diego for the weekend to do stand-up comedy, and like he reached out to him, snuck the tablet at night, and was just like, want to make sure you get there safe. I hope everything's okay. Like I hope it all goes well. And it was cute, but I was like, what the fuck is that all about? And then it dawned on me, every male that my son sees in his life are dark-skinned black males. It's the first time somebody in a position of power or authority looks like to him what he relates to.
Yeah.
That's nuts, man. Like he feels him so much because he looks like Grampy's. He looks like Uncle.
He feels
He
like
looks
family.
like
He feels familiar. Yeah.
feels like family. And so for me, that was a big switch for me of just kind of being like, fuck the conditioning and the stereotypes. Fuck what people think about me. And I still struggle with it, but it all boils back down to what you were saying of that imposter syndrome. Like, am I who I say I am? Am I putting off what I expect people to hope to get out of me? And I have to just continually leave that to the side. And I'm better about it these days. But man, I got to tell you, it was real back then, like constantly thinking about it.
Yeah. And you know, it's interesting. You mentioned something that's significant. Earlier, you said you grew up in sketchy environments with people who you had to figure out whether or not they were sketchy, right? So your construct of the reality is fear-based, right? And then you grow up and you're like, wait a minute. Like, this shit is not serving me anymore. Like, you know, there are good teachers out there, and maybe it doesn't have to be some funny shit going on, but my son identifies with his teacher, right? So it's like you start to remove the fear programming, I call it, right? You start to just put that shit to the side and just let that love out. And what you said also was significant in terms of people of color growing up with a mindset that is like, where do I fit? And it's a fucked up reality, right? As a Latino, I mean, I'm light skinned. I'm Puerto Rican. I have never experienced true racism in the way that I'm sure a dark skinned black male would, right? But I've got that trauma programming, that generational people of color trauma shit that's in me. That's like I come from a shit show of a dysfunctional ass family. You know, people were sketchy. You know what I come from. You read the damn book. But removing that fear programming and putting love into the equation and sort of like examining life for what it is and realizing that some of the stuff is self-imposed, and yes, some of the stuff is the reality. The reality is fucked up and we are living in an unjust society. But then there are also construct within ourselves that we've accepted as the reality that sort of reinforce that shit, right? So I always say to people, like, remove all that, remove it all, remove the color. Yes, I asked you where you're from, what's your nationality. I think that's just how we're trained to operate, but that doesn't say anything about you, right?
No.
Like you've already said as a black male, and I've heard other people say it, like, am I black enough, right? And do I even fit into my own category of people? So then there's layers within the layers of like segregation and just fear-based energy is what I call it. It's like it's limited, it's enclosing, it feels depressive, there's a lot of anxiety involved in it, and we all dance to the tune of it in our own ways, right? But I think now is a beautiful process. I mean, as ugly as our society is looking at the time, I think this is a great opportunity for us to really make some fucking changes, right?
Yeah.
To exemplify as people of color our value in society. You said bring value to people, right? And that's important. You have to expect from others what you expect from yourself first, right? You cannot expect others to be kind to you if you're not kind to yourself, and you will surely not be kind to others if you are not kind to yourself first.
Right.
So you gotta love yourself. You gotta be comfortable with who you are. And mindfulness, it sounds like, brought you to that place to some extent. You're able to sort of segregate the programming from what it is now, right? And sort of find a balance.
Yeah, no, just being mindful in general and understanding, like asking myself the question, like, would I like me if I met me? Right? Like, would I like me if I met me? right? How am I approaching other people? How am I feeling? And then also understanding that everybody's on their own journey, man. Like people they deal with shit,
Yeah,
right? Even when I think about my kids, like yes, I love my babies. They're my babies. They will always be, but they're their own little people.
yeah,
Their experience, they live in a world. Their experience, no matter how much I try to shape, control, let go, it's their world, man.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So I'm constantly just trying to be aware of the fact that I got my own shit to deal with. Everybody's got their own shit to deal with. Um, and maybe just being kind and saying hello to somebody might change somebody's day.
absolutely.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
agree with you.
Like, just say hi. And that's also too how I grew up. You know, my dad's from the South, and it's interesting because you mentioned like not having blatant racism. I didn't have it until I went to Iowa,
Mm,
right? And in the Midwest, and it was no joke. I visited Arkansas, Kansas, Missouri. You know, I was Texas. I was down there. But I gotta be real, man. I appreciated the genuine sincerity of people, even if they didn't like you. Like they let you know up front, you
mm.
ain't
You advanced in this shit,
not.
bro. I don't know how I felt about that. I remember real quick. You don't fuck with me, I quickly ain't fucking with you. You go do that hate shit over there. But
I love the Midwest, man. That shit was real. People were real. And it's not to say that people in California aren't. What it means though is when I'm here in California, sometimes I feel like you never really know. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like just aren't straightforward about shit all the time. And I'm just trying to be straightforward. And I know we're kind of all over the place in what we're talking about, but it all comes back again to that, like you were mentioning, the whole mindfulness thing. I just
absolutely.
want to make sure that I'm being aware of my surroundings. I'm being aware of myself. I'm listening to myself, and that I'm trying to love other people. But also not being afraid to be angry at other people, not being
Yes.
afraid to be upset with other people. Like that's part of the human experience. But as long as I don't allow that to control my actions and do something horrible to somebody,
Yeah.
we're all good. I can
Right.
be
So,
mad at you.
yep. Yes, you're absolutely right. Anger is a natural human emotion. We are all entitled to feel that. But anger signifies some sort of turbulence within, right?
Mhm.
And so what we do is we externalize that anger instead of processing it. And what you said is exactly on point, bro. I can't agree more. You can be angry, process it because that's human. You shouldn't bottle that shit up because it will manifest in physiological damage, right? You'll get other sort of repercussions if you don't process your energy. So I always tell people empty your cup because you can't take in any other stuff if your cup is full, right?
Yep.
But letting it go also, right? Mindfulness reminds you to like check yourself, acknowledge people are fucked up, but if you sit there wallowing and festering in the reality of the world outside, then you will create so much turbulence inside that you will lose out on the beauty that is in life, right?
Well, I'm curious about your answer to this, or if you have a similar feeling. As we both, you've heard some of my story growing up. I've read your story growing up. It's interesting how going through that, I feel like I have an easier time than most people letting go of shit because I
Mm,
had to, right? Like I had to. If I didn't, I wouldn't be here. You know what I'm saying? But like, so going through that shit growing up, it was like, all right. So when people are complaining about certain things, I'm like, man, that's not a big deal compared to what I dealt with before. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So it's a blessing in disguise in that way.
Yeah, a lot of you are so on point with this. You made my hair stand, man. So like a lot of times, I grew up. It's a funny flip side, right? You never know what's on the other side, folks. When you're growing up in tough situations, young kids watching people going through life struggles with their families of origin or the family systems they were brought into, know that this shit is temporary, and know that the harder it is, no, yes, you are in some sense a victim because you're a child. But at the same time, as you get older, that victimization turns into a resilience, a strength. It'll either make or break your challenges, right? And hopefully you can stay strong enough to the end, to the Antonio and Eddie side of things nowadays, where like You know, I grew up being abused. I grew up being oppressed. I grew up being discriminated against and told I was never going to be shit. I was nothing but a fat piece of shit. I got picked on. Believe it or not, I actually experienced racism in school from black kids because I was a fat white boy, and I went to school with a whole bunch of black kids. So it was like, shut up, white boy, you know, and they thought they could play me. And I'm like, fuck you. I'm Puerto Rican. Like, I'm one of y'all niggas. Don't play me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I got into a lot of fights. But what I've experienced now, like you said, is that people are breaking down over the simplest things. And I'm sitting here like, baby, that's stress to you? That's stress to you? Like, that's your biggest problem? You're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay.
There's a dope saying that, you know, especially, and it's something to think about for people during this time of quarantine and stay at home. And especially if you don't have family with you and you're literally by yourself. If you're going to be alone, you might as well be in good company, right? So, like, you got to be right up here. You got to be right here, right? Like, you have to be comfortable with self to be alone with self. And I feel like what I've seen with most people who are really struggling during this time is they haven't flipped it, the narrative of it, of like, instead of being like, how much this sucks, and trust me, I miss people, but it's an opportunity, right? Like, take it as the opportunity to reconnect with self, reconnect with nature, reconnect with your loved ones. I mean, everybody's on fucking Zoom. Like, do you need to call your mom or dad, right? Do you need to reach out to brother or sister? Do you need to call that old friend and be like, you know, I miss you, I'm sorry. Whatever it may be, right? It's an opportunity to try a lot of things to make self better, because the pace has slowed down. Right?
Significantly.
We're not moving the way we used to move. Even if you have Zooms all day, the pace is still slowed down. So you have an opportunity to stop and take a look in the mirror. And a lot of people, I don't think, are taking this time as an opportunity, because even if we go back to normal, which I think our new normal is going to be something totally different than what we used to. But even if we go back there, don't look back and have missed out on the opportunity in that time that you had to then get back to normal and be like, man, I don't have enough time. You got it right now. You got it right now.
It's so important, man. Yo, you are preaching, bro. Listen, if you're watching this and you're feeling like you're bored, find something to do that you'll thank yourself for later. I've been taking so many certifications over COVID, started a new LECHE We Are community. Like, I mean, I'm like, this is time not to sit here and be depressed. This is time to self-improve. This is time to let go of that job you hate, right? A lot of people are like, oh my God, I hate my job for 20 years. I worked for 20 years. I hate it. Now you're unemployed. Oh my God, all I know is my job. I wish I had a job. What do I do now? It's like, bro, you were sad the whole 20 years. This is your opportunity. This is for you to go find what you love to do. And you may not know what that is, but try something different. Don't sit there and wait to go back to that job that had you depressed for the last 20 years, right? And also,
I was going to say too, like, think about the flip side. For people who feel like this is the fucking apocalypse, right? That everything's just going to be destroyed. Well, what the fuck are you doing with your last days, bro?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? I see people like, you know, so fearful. Like, you're not wearing a mask. Okay, but you are. Like, and we're like 10 feet apart. Like, slow the fuck down. Slow down. Really take a look at how fearful you are. Assess the situation and think about whether or not you are missing out on life or living life. Right?
Yeah.
Two different
live, bro.
And a good way to gauge this, right, is if you're riddled with anxiety, depression, heavy feelings. If you're feeling light and lifted and empowered, this doesn't apply. This is for 99% of the population that's sitting around feeling victimized, lost, confused, stressed. I don't know about y'all, and I may sound like, you know, a real asshole for this. I'm going to just say it. Fuck it. I said what I said. But COVID has been a vacation for me. COVID, you know, for other people, and anybody who has suffered from COVID, my heart goes out to you genuinely. You know what I'm saying? Nobody deserves to suffer at all, ever. But for Eddie Pabon personally, this has been a great opportunity for growth, a great opportunity to slow down. Everything's going so fast. We're getting so old so fast. It's like you don't really get to smell the flowers. You don't get to really do things you love to do. Now you can. Now you can go have a picnic in the park while you wait for things to open back up, right?
Yeah, no, and I have to say I was blessed with the opportunity of being in the Midwest for 4 years in a very rural, like 4 stoplight town type place. And I missed it so much that I would visit every single year. And when safe at home and all the restrictions hit, that's what it felt like. Was like all of a sudden I didn't have to get in my car and drive everywhere, right? I didn't have to do a bunch of shit. I was just like, I'm gonna step outside on the back patio and chill for a second.
Mhm.
Nope, this thing can wait for a second because
Yep.
I'm more important than this thing.
Yep. And if I die of COVID tomorrow, at least today, I chilled out. I had a good time. I did what the fuck I wanted to do, not what the life has been telling me to do, like normal, right? We're just kind of going like zombies or autonomous, right? So we cover supernatural. I want to say though, really quickly, getting back to supernatural for a second. I fucking love this shit. Like y'all gotta going straight to the top. There's no way this cannot be a thing. This is already a thing.
So.
No, but like, listen, I'm pushing it. Y'all, listen, I want to be clear. I don't work for Supernatural. I'm just a fan. But I'm sitting here telling everybody I know about it. I'm buying people VR headsets. Like, I'm ready to I'm trying to get people on because there are a lot of people who wish they had an alternative to the gym, to the you know, the struggle, if you will. This feels like fun. This feels like a game more than it feels like intensity. And although it's fucking intense, I want to be clear.
Yeah.
I've had some people who, I could do that. Yeah, go ahead, nigga. Watch.
Yeah,
So,
right.
hit a high intensity monster and let's talk. So, but what are you working on now? What do you want to tell the world? We have about 17 minutes left before Instagram cock blocks all the way on the rest of the situation. So, I'm sorry, bro. I'm all the way inappropriate, but I'm excited. So, I want to give you a chance to talk about anything you want to talk about, you know, for the next few minutes. Let people know what you're doing, where they can find you, you know, what should we know?
Shit, there's a bunch of stuff, man. You know, I've been using this time to really be creative. I've been teaching grad school for over a decade now, but
Okay.
this is my last year. Like, I'm done.
Okay.
Right. Like you were talking about getting rid, like I love teaching. But like come summertime, it's a wrap. And so I've been just allowing myself to do a lot of different things because I always was frustrated that I didn't have like this one thing that I woke up every morning doing, right? Like where this is my passion, this is my niche. Like, and it's interesting because again, the blessing in disguise, as someone who's been an athlete from the age of 4 in organized sports, they say an athlete dies 2 deaths. 1 when their career is over and 2 when they actually pass. And when my career ended, you know, and not by my choice, but by injury, I spent a lot of time trying to be like, who am I? What's my thing? And I stopped worrying about that, especially when I realized the phrase, what is it? A jack of all trades is a master of none. But there's a second part to that. A jack of all trades is master of none, but better than one who masters just one, right? And so I was like, cool, like I'm gonna just do all the shit I want to do. So I'm working on this book that is simply this nighttime meditation that I do, and it's all in my mind. It's called Sparring with the Gods.
Yeah.
I am working. I'm working with somebody to create a restorative justice program with youth in correctional facilities to help them with restitution with their victims of their crimes, but through a connection with themselves and in nature to then be able to reconnect with the people that they hurt if it's possible. I'm putting together a series with another person where it's meditation plus physical movement and body of some of the stuff I do in routine.
Yogic practice meets mindfulness practice.
Yep.
I like that. Yo, bro, I'm doing the same shit. We're so aligned. Like, go for it. Keep going.
Yeah, somebody just recently from Supernatural reached out to me and was like, you know, I would really love to hear your meditations in another place. They actually went so far as to contact the app Calm to see if they'd be willing to take me on. And I was thinking to myself, like, why don't I have my own meditation app or channel?
Oh my God,
like,
I do the same thing. Like, yeah, same deal.
So, you know, and I'm giving a bunch of keynotes and presentations. I'm working on trying to potentially have we're in the world of health, sports, and fitness, this consulting business. Like, I'm just trying a bunch of different stuff, and I'm always open to collaborations and people's ideas. And so, I mean, who knows what comes next? It'll always be hit up on my social media at One Coach Doc. But, you know, I don't have any, I have my biggest goal in terms of the material thing that I want is to be able to purchase a plot of land to build buildings on, to have all family and friend who choose to stay there come live. Like, that's my biggest goal. So outside of that, whatever it is that gets me to that thing, I don't give a fuck what it is, as long as I'm enjoying myself and having fun.
Oh man, bro, I'm getting so many affirmations as you talk. Like, so Eddie Pabon's current goal, and I haven't shared this with anybody outside of my own circle, right? My current 5-year goal is to take LECHE We Are and create a retreat space, buy land, build spaces for people to come and relax, feel at home, feel rejuvenated, do exactly what they need to do to recenter themselves. That's fucking beautiful. And I've been telling my partner too, I'm like, instead of getting 10 acres, why don't we get like 30 acres so we could throw like our friends and family on the other side? You know what I'm saying? Like, let them be over there. And so, bro, let's go.
I took an RV last month in September. I took an RV and drove that shit to Arizona and was 2 seconds away from purchasing 72 acres of land. Right? Like, the only reason I didn't, in all honesty, was during the moment of signing contracts and like doing the deal, the guy who was the broker ended up going and talking to his boss, and his boss just had zero respect, and the boss didn't understand something. He was like, well, that's why I send all my contracts outside. And I turned to him and was like, did you just refer to me as an inanimate object?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a human, bro. So like, in that moment, the deal was lost just because it no longer felt right.
Yeah.
Right. And it could have been right. It could have been a great move, but it just didn't feel right anymore. And so I kept my intuition of like, that ain't right. Yep. Something ain't right about this. Oh, and I don't feel good walking out of here. So like, fuck it. You know, there's other land for sale. But to go back to it, no, I want tons of land. And I want to be able to see beautiful things and go visit. Like, I'm a very, what they call it, an introvert extrovert, right? Like, I love people. I love being out. I love being social, but I also like my time, man. Yep. Like,
empath.
I like being social.
You're an empath, right? Bro. You need to recharge. You can't be just giving that energy to everybody. You got to have you time.
Yep. And so I just want that land to be able to say, you know, we're building this on here. If my sister, like, you and your family want to come stay, I'll build you a house with room for everybody, so far away on my land that you can't even see me. You got to take a golf cart to come get to me.
Yes.
But we're here. We're here.
You feel like you're in another borough, but you down the block, around the corner, past the mountain. You know, my mountain.
And when my kids are grown up, if they want to go do whatever they want to do, know that they always got a place to come back to.
Yep.
Right. Not some place that I rent. Not some place that, you know, is going to be jam-packed in 20 years because we don't have enough room to be, you know, putting any more houses. So we got to go up and vertical.
You're not sitting on top of somebody else's house. You can't put your music up because the neighbors are complaining. I don't want none of that bullshit. I want to be, you got to drive 5 miles in past the exit to get just to the entrance, and then another couple miles in to get to the space. You know what I'm saying? I want to be away from the madness.
So you know, that's all I want. And then, you know, the route in which I get there with the things that I do, it's going to be different. But the biggest shift for me, that was my intention for my birthday for this next year, was just valuing my time. That's it. Like, I've done so much and kept so many things on my plate at one time that were just to make the ends meet, just because I felt like I needed the money, because I wanted to make, like, nope, I'm done with that. I'm going to value my time. I'm going to say yes to the things that fulfill me and fulfill a purpose, and no to the things that don't. Yep.
And that's it. And everything else will flow. And you'll be happy. And fuck everything else. And that's that. So we got like another 6 or 7 minutes. You know, I want, hopefully, for people watching this to take from this that self-love will lead you on your journey. the things that are for you are not necessarily constructed up here, but felt here and experienced naturally, not through force and control. I also want to say, bro, we have so many similar ambitions. We need to, after this, at some point, like, link up, collaborate
Yeah,
somehow.
bro.
Yo, supernatural style, like multiple coaches. I love Calm and Headspace and all that, but watch out because we got real mindfulness coming soon.
All right.
Real recognized real mindfulness. I don't
All
know.
right.
But keep doing what you're doing, man. I want to say again, thank you. I know I don't say this to anybody comfortably, like just to say it. I mean it from the heart. I fucking love you, bro, on a soul level. Like, I see your light. I respect you. Namaste, right? All the way. Like, I want you to shine that shit bright, man, and fucking change as many lives as you can, but also make the time for yourself and them beautiful kids and that beautiful wife of yours. Tell her I said thank you for reading the book as well. Thank you for showing love to the Sunrise in December. Thank you for putting it out there and posting about it. There are people who are like, that ego starts to come up and it's like, yeah, I'll support, but I'm going to support halfway. And like, and you went all the way. You posted about it. You followed up. You reviewed. You went on LinkedIn and reviewed. I'm like, I fucking love this dude. Like, finally, somebody's giving the love that I give out. Like, so
Yeah.
thank you, man. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much you make me happy, man.
Nah, I greatly appreciate it. Much love. I appreciate all you're doing, man. And I do want to say this for anybody who's watching. I don't have my shit all the way together, bro. Nobody does. Like, yes, we try our best to share love and light and to make people's lives better, and we've had an impact. But like, I also go to sleep and struggle with shit.
Yep.
Every day.
Yep.
And so I don't ever want anybody to think and sit and be like, well, he's living a fantasy life. Like, I can't do that. Like,
no, we haven't. We're human. And we have that same mess of a construct for our nature that you do, right? The only difference is that we were fortunate enough to take some time out, to carve some time out to try to make sense of it. And through that practice, have been able to manage life on life's terms rather than running into walls. Nurse Cat loves cats. Thank you for listening and watching. But what you say is profound.
Can I give one more thing? I'd love for people to do.
This is your show. Go for it.
So I take, I have my routine in the morning, whether it be the physical, the meditation, the journaling, all that. But there's one thing I do that I would love for people to like pick up and take.
Go.
Carve time in your day, every day, to just proactively think, whether it's something you want to think about or you just want to let your mind run and with a bunch of ideas, but take 30 minutes out of your day to just say, I'm putting all the electronics to the side and I'm just going to go think.
Yep.
Right. Like, think about all the great people in the world that have, like all the wisdom and the creation and the people who we look back in history as these wonderful people. All of them had one thing in common. They took time out to think. They weren't just reacting to everything. They took time out to proactively use their fucking brain as the muscle it was designed for, instead of just being a response mechanism. Use it. It's a muscle. Build that shit.
Yep.
Go and think 30 minutes a day.
Yes. Take a deep breath and say, fuck that on the exhale, right? Because at the end of the day, your sanity is what's going to get you through. You're so right. Sit with yourself. Sit in silence. And at least he said 30 minutes, right? Fuck that. Yes, go for it. At least 30 minutes. If you just come into this process and you feel less capable, more noisy, right? And you have an uncomfortability with sitting with self, try 10 minutes. Work from there. You're going to see what happens is that all this stuff is coming. You start to notice, wow, I got a lot of fucking noise up there, right? And you start to process that stuff.
Well, and two, like, don't worry about
insight.
Well, and don't worry about it being a meditation where you close your eyes and you focus on breathing. Like, go outside and walk around. Keep your eyes open. Talk to yourself. Just like think. Just think.
Sit with self. Like, don't get on the phone. Don't do any tasks. Just sit with yourself. And with that, brother, I think before they cut us off and we can't preserve the video so others can watch, I definitely want to bring you back on at some point because I feel like we just getting started. It's always like we just started hanging out. You know what I'm saying? It's time to go.
Anytime, brother. I appreciate it. Much love to you, and thank you for inviting me.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for everything that you do, folks. Follow at One Coach Doc. Show him love. Check out Supernatural. Check out the work that he's doing. Check out his book when it drops. I'm already going to buy it. And just show him love, right? Because without people like Doc, you know, the world gets a little more dreary, and we need that. We all have the capability of being the light and love that we truly are, regardless of the programming and the circumstances. With that, I want to say thank you again, brother. Know that you are limitless, light, love, and potentiality, no matter what, and everything else will flow. I love you. I thank you. Until I get to see you again, man, I'm probably going to go jump on VR after this. Take care of yourself. Give a hug to your wife and kids, and keep taking time for you, bro, because it's
Too, bro.
manifesting. Thank you.
Much love to you.
Namaste. Till next time, y'all. Peace.